disappointed. Now, I've already used the word meaningful. In the introduction, you heard the word meaningful. What on earth does it mean to say that a job or an occupation is meaningful? Now, traditional studies of capitalism tell us that we make money and enter the workforce primarily in order to increase our holdings, to increase our power to spend, our capacity to be economic agents in the economy. That's why we work. But of course, as we know, we don't only work for that, we work for meaning. What does it mean for a job to be meaningful? I think that a job becomes meaningful when, in some way or other, that job leaves you feeling at the end of every day that you have, in some ways, either helped to reduce the suffering or increase the pleasure of another human being. The increase in the satisfaction of others and the decrease in the suffering of others is at the core of what we would describe as a meaningful job. So far from always seeking to maximize our economic potential, what we're also trying to do is to maximize the capacity for a job to feel meaningful. Now, why do we have such a problem nowadays with jobs not feeling meaningful enough? I'm sure you will have lost staff, you will have observed people saying, I'm quitting, and you've tried to give them more money. It's not the money that counts, it's somehow a problem of meaning. Why are so many jobs not meaningful enough? According to the Italian 19th century economist Vilfredo Pareto, a modern economy should feel fairly meaningless if it's going right. Let me explain. When you ask small children what it is they want to do, right? The kinds of jobs that they come up with and the kinds of jobs that we tend to dream about when we think of the ideal job tend to have one thing in common. See if it tallies up with what you're thinking in the back of your head. I mean, everyone's got a sort of dream job. It tends to be a job where you see the effort of your labors on a sustainable timescale. In other words, not within 30 years, but within a few years, or even a few months, or even a few weeks. You see that you have made a difference to somebody else's life. And you see it tangibly. I mean, literally, you could see it or you could feel it. There is some indicator. Perhaps you're dealing with at the School of Life, we once did a survey with people's top meaningful jobs. And there was a very high, it was a multiple choice. And one of the options, we just threw it in, was to run a small B&B. Small bed and breakfast. That scored the second highest, right, next to being a doctor. Now, what on earth? I mean, anyone who knows anything about the world of B&B, not Airbnb, B&Bs, knows that it's a nightmare. I mean, who wants to do that job? However, as a fantasy job, it ticks all the boxes because someone comes weary and sad and lonely, and they come into your bed and breakfast. You give them a bed for the night. You transform their health and well-being, and off they go the next morning. And you have made a difference. Or another top fantasy: people who want to run a bakery. Right, or a cake stand, or something where you are taking somebody, you're fulfilling a need and sending them off on a short time scale that feels like you are working a transformation. Now, the problem of the modern economy is people are constantly transforming each other's lives, but, a huge but, on an enormous time scale, and we tend to be only a tiny cog in a vast machine. Pareto argued that the more advanced an economy, the more the jobs within it will be, keyword, specialized. Now, specialization is a wonderful thing. Adam Smith was already onto this. All economists will tell you that specialization is a wonderful thing when it comes to the productivity of the workforce. That's fantastic, except for in the area of meaning. Because if you're very, very specialized, you don't get a sense of your impact on the lives of other people. You are one cog, and you are very separated from the end user of your efforts. And this leads to so many people. And by the way, you can tell that you're in an advanced economy whenever you go to a party and you say to somebody, what do you do? And if that person tells you something you don't understand, you're in an advanced economy. In a very basic economy, people say, I'm a bricklayer, I'm a butcher, I'm a farmer, etc. Nowadays, I'm a logistical specialist for the eastern, southeastern regions. I mean, what is that? And if you don't know, it means that an economy is very advanced. It's fantastic economically, and it's a disaster from the point of view of meaning.